Hello, world. This is Overtime with Terrence and Leon, an Overtime media production presented by Bruns Gutzwiller. Choose Bruns Gutzwiller for your next construction project. Also being brought to you by FCN Bank. FCN, building stronger communities, member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Today's guest being brought to you by Daisy Doggy Daycare and H&R Block. Leon, I tell you, you may remember this about 2 years ago. It was the first time I met today's guest, and I had a chance to sit down and talk to her team, and I immediately called you after it was over, and I was like, dude, we have to get this coach on the show.
You know, it's funny. I'm friends with her brother-in-law, her niece, and this is all I've heard about is Ashley. So I am looking forward to putting her under the hot lamp.
Oh, don't say it like that. Don't say it like that. Well, without any further delay, please welcome to the program head coach for the East Central track and field team, and also an accomplished athlete in her own right, Ashley Andrews. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Terrence and Leon, for having me.
Well, like I said, when the very first time we met, I called Leon and me. I said, dude, we got to get her on the show. And I want to start right there, right off the top, Coach. When I met you for the first time and we talked, your energy and excitement for track and field you were just dripping and oozing with enthusiasm about this sport. That's where I want to start. Where does that come from?
Track and field has been a huge part of my life. I'm 41 years old, and the first time I ran a track meet was when I was in 6th grade. I did it a little bit. I had an injury. I had Osgood-Schlatter's disease really bad in 6th grade, where I had to sit out that entire spring, and it wasn't watching everybody get to do what I knew I could do. So I think that fueled me for when I was healthy. And I did it a little bit in middle school. And then when I went to high school, I was a fast pitch softball player. I played softball since I could walk. So I split my time between the fast pitch team and the track team. It didn't really work out so well. It was just too much on a freshman, I think. And I ended up quitting track, and I ended up just playing fast pitch softball my freshman year. So my sophomore year, it worked out to split my time. My junior and senior year, I decided I wanted to focus on just track and field. I made it to state as a sophomore in the long jump, and I barely practiced because I always had a fast pitch game or a track meet. There was very little time to practice. So I thought, I wonder what I could do if I just focused on one sport.
Right.
And I'm so glad I did. I made it to state in 4 events my junior and senior year, medals every year. It led me to a path to get a scholarship at the University of Cincinnati. I was one of those high school athletes that was overlooked. I wanted to go to Purdue so badly. But when I went up to Purdue, it was, they just kind of were, okay, well, maybe you can be a walk-on. And I thought, well, okay, I don't really want to go to a smaller college, I'll hold out. So I actually had everything set up to be a regular student at Purdue University. I had my roommate. The day before my orientation at Purdue, I got a phone call from the University of Cincinnati in June after I had graduated. And they said, hey, one of my friends lives in Hidden Valley. He told me about you and that you're not going to continue. Could you please just come down for one visit? And so, with a conversation with my mom and dad, they said, you need to do this. You'll regret it if you don't just hear them out. And so when I went down, everything sounded good. They were offering me a scholarship. And my mom and dad said, you have to give this 1 year. If you don't like it, if you're miserable, then you can transfer and go to Purdue. But you need to give this 1 year. So I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? Okay, I'll try it 1 year. And oh my gosh, best decision. I'm so grateful that my parents pushed me to try it. All of my friends were going to Purdue. I had 0 friends going to the University of Cincinnati. Back in the day, I was pretty shy, and I didn't want to go somewhere where I didn't know anybody. But man, best decision of my life. It led me to a big family at the University of Cincinnati and so many new friends, lifetime friends, and just that's where my passion really started to fuel. I was so new to the sport that I wanted to try every event, and I turned out that the heptathlon was perfect for me because it has 7 events in it. So
Right.
I also begged them to let me be a pole vaulter. In high school, girls weren't allowed when I was here. They said it was too dangerous. So I would mess around with pole vault my senior year. They thought about having an exhibition my senior year. If I would do it, it would take away one of my 4 events for our team, and I wouldn't score any points. So the coaches said, we need your points. You can't do pole vault. I would have to vault with the boys. So in college, I begged my coach, please let me try. And so my first meet, I got the school record at the University of Cincinnati. I won 11.6.
Shut up.
No form at all. It was just pure passion, and I just really wanted to do it. I just sprinted down there and threw myself over that bar.
Hang on. Let me let this sink in. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm hearing and understanding you right. The very first time that you pole vaulted in a competitive situation, you set the school record.
It was 10.6. I remember this. It was 10.6. 10.6 at Indiana University. It was an indoor meet.
Coach Terrence can't really relate to being an athlete.
Oh my gosh.
I don't really know how to say it, but Coach, probably just you and I should probably talk, since he's,
Wow.
Wow. He's just a fan. You know what I'm saying? Coach, so let me ask you this. At what point, or how old were you when you realized, man, I can really go somewhere with this? This track thing this could be something really special.
I think when I came to the University of Cincinnati, I don't know if both of you know one of my friends, Mary Weinberg. It was Mary Gaynor, Mary Weinberg.
Yes.
She married one of my teammates. They're both UC Bearcat alumni. So her husband, Chris, did the multis with me. He was a decathlete. I was a heptathlete. So when I first came to the University of Cincinnati, Mary had just finished her college career. She was going out to California to train at the Olympic Training Center. She came back for one practice, and I just remember my teammates. It was August. I was a freshman, right? I felt so overlooked as a high school athlete that I felt like I was out to prove that I belonged to be a Division I athlete. When you get so many that turn you away, it just fueled my fire to prove them that I actually am truly a D1 athlete. So that fire was lit. So I remember when Mary came back home, she's from Cincinnati. She came and did hills with us across the street from the University of Cincinnati. It's Burnett Woods. Track and field from UC, you say that, they're like, oh my gosh, we're going to puke today. Like, coach made us run those hills. If you go down Martin Luther King, you look over at the park across from the campus, and those are the hills, the dreaded hills. So I just remember I worked out all summer. I worked out with the East Central football team because my track coaches were football coaches. I was in the weight room. They were making me run while they were doing football practice. I was running laps around the football team. And when I came, I was in really good shape. So when I came, I was beating Mary Weinberg up the hill or tying her. So then I got a nickname from the upperclassmen. They started to call me hardcore. They said, hardcore, you need to calm down. You're going to get hurt. Do you know who you're beating? I said, I have no idea who that is. I was a freshman. She was already gone. She just came back to visit. So that was my first time meeting her. But that right there, I thought, man, Mary, if I can match Mary in that moment, obviously I could not stand with her. She just was starting up her season. But if I could match her, I just was like, I'm going to keep trying. And so my freshman year, I was able to break some school records. But mind you, the University of Cincinnati had a very young track program. They started the girls program in 1994, and I came in fall of 2002. So it was a very young program, very reachable for me to get school records because it was so new. And they were just growing the program. So when my freshman year, I thought, I'm going to keep trying to get these school records. And so my freshman year, I qualified for junior nationals. So my coach flew. There were probably three of us that were still 18 after the first of the year. So it made us eligible for junior nationals. So we got to go out to California and compete. And so we were in the junior division, right? Everyone's below 18 by the first of the year. I turned 18 in February. So when I went, I did the heptathlon, and I broke 5,000 points, which as a first year heptathlete is a very good mark. It's a provisional mark for the Division I provisional standard for nationals. So I was able to do that at that track meet, and I placed third. And because I placed third, they said, you know what, we would like the Team USA, which I only watched on TV, never thought it could ever in a million years be something for someone who's only 5'4" and some change. And I thought gymnastics was my pathway. I did that all growing up, got to a point in gymnastics where they asked me to be homeschooled so I could be at the gym more. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to miss out with my family at East Central. I wanted to stay in school. So when I went to junior nationals, they said, Team USA would like to invite you to go to the Netherlands to compete for Team USA. We will take our top 3 juniors and you will go with our 6, the senior. So the girls who are actually competing at Worlds, competing in the Olympics, and we want you to go with them for this experience to kind of fuel your fire. What an amazing experience that was. When you make a Team USA, I was 18 years old. When you make a Team USA, you get a UPS truck that shows up at your house with all of these boxes. I had 2 suitcases that say Team USA, Nike all over them, and both suitcases were plumb full. I had so many Team USA gear, and it was the exact same outfit that Team USA wore for Worlds or the Olympics. So right there, if you live in St. Leon, you would have known that day. I put on my uniform. It's like a swimsuit, but it's a track uniform. Hopped on my bike. My family, I'm a Wilhelm from St. Leon. And so all of St. Leon is my family. I'm riding my bike, knocking on my aunt and uncle's door, like, look, I did it. I'm on Team USA. Right up to grandma's. And grandma's like, what in the world? I have no idea what you're talking about, but I can tell you're very excited. I'm so proud of you, but I have no clue what you're doing.
Coach, when you talk about the events you did and how you eventually landed on pentathlon, tell us how you train for something like that with having so many events and really such a short window of time. You can only work out a certain amount of numbers in a day and numbers in a week, days in a week. How do you train for that?
It is not easy. It is not for the weak. And if you don't know how to do time management, you will learn quickly or you will flop. So just knowing that every minute of your day is accounted for. And I tell you what, sometimes you have a hard workout, you have a final the next day or a paper due. I would come home, set a 15-minute timer, and you're thinking 15 minutes, I could fall asleep just like that. In 15 minutes, I would wake up like, okay, I've got to do this. I got my 15-minute nap and I've got to go. We would call them power naps. So a power nap did wonders to help me through. Sometimes I'd take a power nap on the locker room floor, on the high jump mat in the Armory field house. People would come in, what is that? Oh, it's Wilhelm, just let her be. But it's like I lived in the track and field. Like I could figure out my nap wherever I was during the day. But as far as practice as a heptathlete, my coach, Jim Schnur, I could never thank him enough for everything that he did for me and that he believed in me. He was the one that was going to take a risk, but he turned that risk poured so much time into all of us. My teammate, I mentioned, Chris Weinberg, he was my role model because he was in my event and he was 2 years older than me. He also was I called him my hype boy. If nobody was there, Chris could be like, woo, let's do it, and get me hyped for long jump. I just told my athletes, they were starting to clap up for the high jump at the JV conference meet on Saturday. And I said, you know what, whenever I had somebody clap it up for me, I would jump 20 feet in the long jump. But if they wouldn't clap it up for me, I would go 18. I said, you got to it takes a village. Yeah. But we would have morning practices. So 9 o'clock, we would do shot put. You could go to your class, maybe 1 o'clock, we'd come back and we would do high jump. And then when the team came at 3:30, we would come and we would do our run. So it was, you get your technique done during the day, we would coordinate schedules. And then with the team, we would run our workouts. So it took a lot of balancing on, as a coach, I guess I didn't realize how much my coach had to think through to figure out that schedule to get majority of the multis, because we all had different majors and different, requirements. But That's what we did, is just practice every field event and every, hurdles once a week. And then we would get our runs in. We had our main runs. So as a head coach, you have all these athletes, and I say, you know what, if you're thinking that you're going to come onto this team and do one event, I am so sorry. That is not how it works here. Yeah. We do not have enough healthy people to be able to have one person do one event. If you go to Columbus North or you go to any of those bigger schools, maybe they have the luxury of doing that, but here we just can't afford that, or we wouldn't be competitive. So I, with our coaching staff, I took my workouts from what I did, and I said, I think if, everyone says, how do you have the best quarter milers around? Well, I train everybody as a heptathlete. I give them the workouts that we did. You do a short sprint day, you do a sprint endurance day, and then you do a tempo day. Tempo day is pacing for the 800. So every week we try to hit these categories just like I did in college and in my training post-college. And I tell you what, it develops a really good athlete. They can give me so many events. I can put them in a field event. I can put them hurdles. It just creates just a solid all-around athlete for our program.
Bruns Gutzwiller is the right choice for your next construction project. We strive to deliver unparalleled service to our clients by focusing on craftsmanship and quality. Our core values of integrity, professionalism, and fair pricing all but ensures our clients receive the best possible experience. Whether it's commercial construction, remodeling an existing space, or even building a luxurious home, we offer a comprehensive suite of construction management services. So before you break ground, give us a call at 812-934-2105. Bruns Gutzwiller, building a better future for southeastern Indiana for over 100 years.
You know, Leon, one of the things that I like most about working and living in Batesville, it's the community. Batesville has a little something for everyone, and FCN Bank is the exact same way. Whether it's my personal or business needs, FCN offered me an array of banking products and services that would fit my every banking need. Don't take my word for it. You should check it out yourself at www.fcnbank.com. FCN Bank, building stronger communities. Member FDIC.
Coach, help me out just a little bit. For those of us that may not be as familiar, what are the 7 events that make up that whole thing?
So this is something that's funny as a coach when my athletes go, you put me in this many events and I have to run the trials. And I'll say, well, guess what? In college, there is unlimited events. You can do as many as you want. No one puts a limit on them in college. So I told them, well, at conference, it was a 3-day tournament for us. So the heptathlon was days 1 and 2. And so what I would do is day 1 of the heptathlon, it starts off with 100-meter hurdles. And then it goes to high jump. You get 30 minutes between each event, minimum. You have to have 30 minutes to warm up for your next. So it goes 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, and the 200. Then you would go home, you would rest, sleep, come back early the next morning. It always is like 9 a.m. start. You're like, I'm so tired from yesterday. But they would always start it early, and you would do long jump, javelin, and the 800. So I always tell my athletes that was one event, and then they would come back and put me in the open. So later that day 2 afternoon, I would come back and do all of my open events. So at the end of the 3 days of conference, I'd probably done like 12 to 13 events, but the heptathlon 7, it only counts as 1.
Okay. If you could have, Coach, focused on one event that you could be really good at, what would you have chosen?
I would have still chose the pole vault. So I really do think I could have been so good at that.
That is awesome. I want to get to coaching there at EC in just a second, but I'm not prepared to leave just your accomplishments as an athlete. A lot of people, outside looking in, they don't know so much about the path of a track athlete. They may know about high school, they may know about college, but talk to us a little bit about particularly your experiences after college as a professional athlete.
I tell you what, it's not easy. You know, you see professional football players, basketball players, and that's, if you're looking to be lucrative as an athlete, track and field is a very tough one to make a living with. If you look at all of your professional athletes, if everyone could just understand that, you know, just props to them for pursuing track and field. Only your very top are going to make money in this sport as a professional. There are so many that have to have a full-time job to support themselves, possibly a family post-college, to be able to continue. So think about that. I think of Mary Weinberg. When we were training, she had, Home Depot had a deal where they would support Olympic athletes. So they would be very flexible with their hours. I would get a phone call from the Nike rep and said, "Hey, I got a thing for you. You can go over to Birmingham, England. You're going to have to leave this weekend." I didn't qualify for the Home Depot, but Bob Ronker was a UC alumni. And so just having meetings and networking, talking to my athletic director at the University of Cincinnati, it was Bob Goyne at the time, networking with him. Do you have any alumni? He would connect me with UC alumni that were very big on swimming and track and field and trying to help them pursue their dream. And so just meeting with all of these people, I would have private meetings, you know, just tell me what your goals are, bring your resume. What do you want to accomplish? How can we help? My gosh, the networking was, if without that, I wouldn't have been able to pursue after college, and a supporting fiance who ended up being my husband, right? But he was my fiance when I graduated from college. But knowing what that was going to do, push back our timeline of when we wanted to start our family, and him supporting me financially to be able to do this. But Bob Ronker worked at the Running Spot. He owned the store. It's now, he retired, he sold it. But at that time, Bob was very, very flexible with me. So I say, hey, I sold shoes for a living, which comes back to help me now as a coach. I can watch people walk, look at their gait, and recommend them to go see my friends to get fitted. But Bob was so flexible that I'd say, hey, I got this opportunity, and that they would help cover my shift so I could go and do that. So very grateful for that. It's not easy. I got a contract with Nike after my Olympic trials in 2008. I placed 7th at the Olympic trials. So top 6 were the alternates, right? Top 3 went to the Olympics. The next 3 were the alternates. I was 7th. I got to go to I made other USA teams. So they take your other ones and they will develop them. So I've been to Cuba, Dominican Republic. I've gone against Germany twice. So just things like that has been very fun for me, and giving me that network of working with these Team USA coaches. Again, just hooking me up. Where are you going to train? Do you need help finding a place? Will your college let you stay and train? Some do and some don't. I'm grateful that my college let me stay and train, and I trained with Chris and Mary Weinberg. Those were my training partners. David Payne got a silver medal in the Olympics in 2008, another training partner that came back home. So we had a nice group that we could help coach the current college athletes, and they could train with us to help them as well.
Let me ask you this, Coach, because I've always thought it was interesting, and I just want to get your perspective on it. You know, right now the NBA playoffs are going on, and you get, you know, basketball, baseball, football. They always talk about being world champions, but they only compete against other American teams. You just talked about it, traveling all over the world, representing your country, competing against some of the best athletes in the world. What is that like?
I tell you what, I am a hometown St. Leon girl, and that was difficult. That was difficult to not have family at the meets, you know, and it's definitely a different atmosphere than the college even. When we went, I felt like I felt like a racehorse is what I felt like. I remember that moment. They said, you're not allowed to have your music. You have to put it up. If we see it, it's going to go. Well, now the IHSAA requires that rule. But at that time, it was brand new and it was at the top, right? But I was like, oh my gosh, now I don't even have my music to take me back to home. I have nothing. But it was like, you're going to go into this space and then you're up. And when you come out, you get one acceleration and then you're in. It's just more laid back at the high school and college level. You can have your space in your area. But when you get to that time, man, you're with this group. There's tighter restrictions. We have a commercial break. We have to get this done before we go to commercial, or right after this break, we're going to come in. Just your image too. You have to make sure that you're looking nice, because that's part of it at that level. I said, I always wear this headband to keep my hair back. They're like, well, we want you to take that off. And it's a lot for show too, where I was like, man, I love just to show up and just be who I am and just do the events. But even autographs, man, when you would come out, they would ask for your autograph. And I would say, I'm just Ashley Wilhelm from St. Leon, Indiana. I don't know why you want my autograph. And I don't feel like, you probably want her autograph. Do you know who this is? And I would hype up my teammates.
Right.
But they're like, no, we want your autograph. You're Team USA. And so it is very different. So it would take some time to adjust to that. I think I got a little better, but I still didn't perform my best because I don't know, it was just different. Now I think I would do better because I'm mentally tougher.
There you go.
But it definitely is an adjustment when you do move to that level.
Coach, when you talk about your job as a coach at East Central and the number of years you've been there and the success that you've had, how long did it take you to realize that some of the kids just can't do what you did? And kids, most of the 99% of them are not going to run and compete at that level. As a very decorated athlete, how do you handle that?
I would say when I still was under contract for Nike when I decided to get a teaching job. I had a bad injury the year after the Olympics. I went really hard and maybe a little too hard in the weight room. I don't think it was technique. I think it was just I piled on that weight, and I had crushed some of the space between two of my vertebrae. So if you have an injury like that, it was constantly pulling on my hamstrings. So when I got off the plane in Birmingham, England, I said, something's off and something's pulling right here. It feels like I'm going to pull a hamstring walking. So just from that moment, knowing like I needed to get in a machine for the rest of that season to be stretched, to try to create that space. The best thing for me would have been to take a year off. So I had already been married a year. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have 4 kids. I didn't want to be an old mom. So just looking at how everything was unfolding for me, my coach left the University of Cincinnati. I was looking for a new coach. Just things were starting to show big signs like, I think this needs to be it. I was having such a hard time saying like, I still have 1 more year under this Nike contract. I really want to do it. I mean, I've worked my whole life for this. The only way I could step back is if I could coach. I need to coach in the spring. So by the time I had made this decision, it was the end of July. Most schools start around here, end of July, beginning of August. So I was able to get a job at Franklin County High School. So when I got that job, I said, I don't know what your track program looks like, but I really, really, really want to coach. And so turns out Jeff Mersman is now helping me coach here at East Central, but he was the head coach at Franklin County at that time. He's now a guidance counselor at our middle school, and he's now helping me coach at East Central. So it's full circle here. But when I came, I just remember Jeff. I said, okay, we're just going to do, these are my workouts. I'll just do 3/4 of them. So I remember the first day he goes, whoa, they're throwing up. What are you doing? And I go, what? I said, this isn't even my workout. So I was like, okay, let's try half of my workout next time. We do half, and they're still throwing up. And I said, at some point, these kids have got to take accountability. What would you eat for lunch? So a learning curve for sure. But, when I came in at Franklin County High School, the school hadn't had a sectional champion. And so I pushed those kids more than what they had been pushed. I did need my coaching staff to calm me down, because it was such, from that training training with Nike, training at this level, and then going to a school, that hadn't had a sectional champion. So I was able to help coach them to get their sectional champions, but they had to help keep me in check. Like, whoa, hey, Andrus, you might want to back off. And so Jackie Beneker is still coaching over at Franklin County, but with the balance that Jackie and Jeff were able to help me out with, it helped me figure out the balance for a high school athlete.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Great show, Coach.
Hey, before you go, I got tickets for the game this weekend.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, man.
Oh, man. I can't go, man. Family's out of town. I got to watch the dog.
What? Well, call April Meyer over at Daisy's Doggy Daycare.
What?
Yeah, Daisy's Doggy Daycare, man.
Hold on a second. Let me Google that. Oh, Daisy's Doggy Daycare. She's got her own website. Matter of fact, here's the phone number. I want to call them at 812-932-7877. Why do you like it so much?
Oh, man, she was awesome. She's personable. She's going to take care of you, communicate with you while your dog's there. She's even got a YouTube channel, and you can check out the dog.
That's legit. But what if they're closed up here in Batesville?
Hey, she's got one in Greensburg, too, man.
Oh, snap. All right, let's make it happen.
Daisy's Doggy Daycare in Batesville and Greensburg.
It's tax season, and your neighborhood H&R Block is here to get your taxes squared away. Just walk in or make an appointment and get 100% accuracy and your max refund or your money back. So file with confidence, knowing you have expert local help when and where you need it. All year long at H&R Block. All tax situations are different. Not everyone gets a refund. Limitations apply. See hrblock.com/guarantees.
Call 812-934-4626 to speak with a tax professional.
When you look at, you started with Franklin County when the position opened up for the opportunity to go to EC, your alma mater. I don't take anything from your coaching at FC, but help me out. It just means more, right? When you can coach where you once were an athlete.
Yeah, so my teaching path, I taught 3 years at Franklin County High School, and then I went to Batesville Middle School. So when I came there, I had already, I was pregnant with my second child. So I have 4 kids now. So when I was pregnant with my second child, I said I just don't have time to coach, but every now and then I would come and help Lisa Gausman, who's the head coach at Batesville. So when you see that I'm getting hugs from all these people, I've worked with them, they've become my friends. So I just love coaching in Southeast Indiana because it's just different. Everyone is like family around here. And maybe people don't like this about me, but if I see an athlete that has a chance to make it to state, I'm going to cheer them on no matter what colors they're wearing.
Right.
If they're from our area, I want to see everyone from our area get success. If I see an athlete that's going to go, I will check in with the coach and say, hey, they could be really good at this, and I think they could go D1. Have you talked to coaches and kind of explain, if you don't know, kind of help them out so that way we can get as many kids in our area that opportunity that helped me. I am so passionate about track and field. I would love to see that and more because I can't coach forever, and I would love to see it keep going, after Batesville, I taught there I taught at Franklin County High School for 2 years, Batesville for 3 years. I got pregnant with my third child and said, this is too much. I became a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. It was like 1 year after not teaching, I reached out to Coach Kothman and said, I don't know if I can be a stay-at-home mom. This is nuts. I need something. He said, why don't you come out and help me? So I came out, I think my baby was still little, came out and helped him. And he said, I'm going to retire. Would you like to help and step on a little bit more? So talking to my husband, I was a stay-at-home mom. I need this for my mental, I really need something for me. just to take a little break from being at home. That might sound terrible, but if you're a stay-at-home mom, it does get a little hard if you're like me with high energy. So glad that Coach Kaufman had that talk with me, and I became the head coach. This is my 9th year, I believe, as head coach. My first year as head coach, I got pregnant with my 4th child. And so I remember my kids went to Harrison, they went to Crosby Elementary. When I came in for a conference and told them, their transportation at the end of the day will change once track starts, they said, "Wait, are you the crazy lady that had a baby in your carrier and you're running around at the Harrison track meets?" And I go, "Oh my gosh, yes, that's totally me. Yes, I was breastfeeding and I would sit down in my chair." And so even though I was a stay-at-home mom, my big thing was this track program here. And then 3 years ago, I became a teacher here. So I was so excited. It is definitely feeling like home. I know how the expectations are here. They had high expectations for me as an athlete. And so to be able to continue that tradition has been just, it would be hard to coach anywhere else besides here.
Coach, with the experience you've had as an athlete and as a coach, if a parent came to you of a kid that's in 8th grade and they want to focus on track, they want it to be their thing, and they have a gift, what's your advice to an athlete that wants to aspire to be someone like yourself?
It's so funny that you say that, because I had a 7th grader reach out this week and said, "I'm going to go to the state track meet on Saturday and represent our school. Do you have any tips?" I said, "Why don't you stay after one day? Let's just look at it and just plant a seed and just say, if you want to do it." That was really huge of you to reach out, ask for help. Just being able to work with them, that athlete in one session. I probably only worked with that athlete for probably 45 minutes, but the growth in that 45 minutes just encouraged. Wow, you are so coachable. You are so coachable. If you can continue to be coachable, the sky is the limit, right? So man, I just encourage them. Sometimes I feel like track sometimes gets to the back burner. Here we have a very, very good football program, and we start spring ball, right? They start their conditioning. It's not spring ball, but they do condition. They're in the weight room. And, when I first started here, we couldn't get a football player to come out because they didn't want to lose sight of that sport. That's their number one. I'm so grateful for Coach Jake Miners. He is trying to encourage his athletes to come out. I said, "I promise we'll make you faster. You won't get out of your weight room. Coach Medlock's in charge of football and track, and so you can't hide from us. You will be in that weight room. That will be our priority. But please help us out and let us teach you how to be better runners." Can you set your own goal? This is what you did. What's a realistic, attainable goal for you? We have regionals coming up on Tuesday. This is our time where we really focus on our goals. Say, this is where you are. This is what you have to do to be able to make it to state. So what is a realistic, attainable goal for you? Don't get caught up in, wow, first place is this many seconds faster than us. That's not realistic and attainable. But let's see what we can do if we set those goals. Can we get in the top 3? So to kind of keep that check going too, but just encouraging them, man, you did that and, you barely had any training, just kind of planting those seeds. And, if you want it, man, nowadays it's good and bad. But I had one athlete come back this year and I said, "Oh my gosh, what did you do over the summer? Because I need to know. You are night and day better." And this kid said, "You know what I do in all my free time?" I said, "I actually don't know if I want to know that answer." And so then he says, "No, I watch reels all the time on how to be a 3-step hurdler. I watch reels all the time about how to be a better hurdler." Yeah. And I said, "Whatever you did, can you please email me your reels? Because this is night and day." Yeah. It can be negative. I have some kids, they think it's good to drag their toe when they come out of the starting blocks because a professional did it. And I said, "Well, man, just think if he didn't, how fast he would be." And, just trying to weed through that. If you see one, run it by the coaches and we'll let you know if we agree with it or we don't. But so many things to tell those young kids, just give it a chance. You'll never know if you don't come out. And look at me. I was a fast pitch softball player. If Coach Kaufman hadn't begged me to try it, look what I would have missed out on. A Division I All-American. I've made 4 or 5 Team USAs. And if that coach didn't come and find me, and if Coach Stonefield, when he took over the program after I didn't do it my freshman year, if he didn't come back my sophomore year and beg me to try it one more time, look what I would have missed out on.
Coach, before we go, for those people that really don't know, and it's a shame that they don't, tell us a little bit about your team in 1 minute, about what people can expect from them. Sectionals over. Now they go to regional. What should they expect?
I tell you what, it's been a battle this season for our team. You know, I know you guys had asked me to come on earlier, and at that time I thought, we've had so many injuries this year, and I'm not sure why. That's when the coaches team up and figure out, man, so I've had to cut my workouts back this year. And I normally don't, but you have to meet your team where they are. If you don't, it's like a death sentence for the season, right? So we've had to modify our workouts more this year than any other year due to injuries. So conference, man, we didn't win by much. Batesville was right on us. I came down to the long jump. Leon mentioned my niece earlier, but you know, Nora got a PR and got second, and it got us like, oh my gosh, and I was like, this is so hard for me. My niece, I want her to do well, and but just how tight it's been this season. My top athletes, I can't spread them thin. I can't put them in more than one event because of injuries. So we're just so grateful that we were able to pull off that conference and sectional championship. We've already done our research of what we need to do at regionals. The new alignment has made it really, really challenging for us to get to state this year. This is going to be an adjustment for us. Yeah. It was more doable in the past. This year, if you look at the events, you can look at the rankings, it's going to take a state standard to get out. In a lot of our events, we have more than 3 people hitting a state standard. And if that's the case, you have to hit the state standard in the finals at regionals. So if you hit a state standard during the finals, you'll automatically get to go. So we are chasing these state standards. I'm so grateful to say that we have our first girl that hit a state standard on Tuesday at sectionals. The weather looks sketchy, but our pole vaulter, she's only a freshman.
Oh, wow.
So a freshman, Heather Albrink, hit the state standard, which is 11.3. Heather and her sister, Sarah had the stomach bug that day. She pushed through, she vaulted 10.6. We did everything we could to get her to be able to do that, because if she didn't show up for that meet, her season would have been over. But being sick, her sister did 10.6. They both have done 11 this year. Heather finally did 11.3. That's the state standard. They both know they have to hit that at regionals to be able to go, because we already have 4 girls at state standard. So that's looking exciting for us in the pole vault. Our 4x8 just ran a huge PR. They're sitting 3rd in our regional. But we know, my gosh, if you look on paper, I look at long jump, for example, just looking at that of what the seeds were, and then having, a 17 be the number 1 seed, a 16-2 being the number 2 seed. After the first round of jumping, you have a 17, a 17-1, you have a 16-10, a 16-8. Where did they come from? And so I always tell them, we learned that at sectionals. On paper, I had a girl that was 3rd. She didn't make it to the finals. It's go hard or go home time. This is the theme. And so I tell my athletes, it's go hard or go home. If you're not in the top 3, I will take your jersey. Your season will be over. So just being that our 4x8 has a chance of making it, but that's our theme. I tell them all postseason, this is our training. Coach, are you serious about this workout? It's go hard or go home. What do you want to do?
Yes.
What do you want to do? Do you want to go home? If so, we can lower it. So this is where we are, but our 4x8 looks like they have a chance. Callie Bentley, if you look at her season best, she has a chance of getting out in the 800. Our 4x4, it is a tight race. It is going to take a state standard, which is going to be our school record. I've never had a team that had to break 4 minutes to get to state. This year, you're going to have to break 4 minutes, which means I'm going to have those quarter milers hit 60 or under. We're excited because their times are coming down. We've been running and we've been winning. So it'll be good to see what do these girls do when they have to chase somebody. Who knows? I'm excited and nervous because we haven't had that much competition in the 4x4. What will they do? Can they pull one out? Time will tell. We'll find out Tuesday.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Coach, listen, I am so glad that we finally were able to put this together to get you on the program. Greatly appreciate you sharing your story and your journey. And just like the first day I met you, the enthusiasm for track and field is leaping through the screen. Those athletes at EC, they're lucky to have you, whether they're throwing up or not. They're lucky to have you. Just keep doing what you're doing, Coach. Awesome.
I have Elena McDaniel, who threw a big PR in the discus. She's sitting fourth in our regional. She had a 10-foot PR from the season. So if she's just inches away of being able to get out. There's no state standard hit in the discus. So she's hitting 115 at practice. If she does that at regionals, we're hoping that she can make it out in the discus.
Coach, for people that want to know, can you tell us the date of regionals and how they can see results?
So if you go to the IHSAA website and click sports, girls, and then click track and field, if you do that and click regionals, you're going to get the regional information for every regional in the state. This is where you're going to find your tournament information. And so we're hoping today our performance list will be posted so we can see where we do truly stand. You're going to see the seeds come out here in the next couple days. All of that information will be posted on the IHSAA website. Okay. And so when we get to Tuesday, all of the regionals were told by the state that we need to start at 6 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So that way, because of these live results, you don't want to be like, oh, if they start early, we'll start ours late. Let's see what it takes to get the state for a callback, and we'll just look at the live results and know what we got to do. So they're trying to avoid that by making it just uniformed across the state. Everyone starts at 6. We all have the same schedule. Live results, the links will be posted on that website as well. So we are going to Lawrence North for our regional. This is the first time we're going there. Like I said, this sectional, when we hosted, I said, welcome everybody. I'm so sorry. I don't know where half of you came from. Just because it used to be our conference schools, and it was not. It's only about 4 of our conference schools were at our sectional. So they'll go, I didn't even look if they're feeding into our regional. I just am looking at the top times of my research right now. So it'll be interesting of how this works out this year for regionals. And then state for the girls is Saturday, June 7th. If you're looking for that information, I believe at the state level, you could stream it from home where you can actually watch on camera. You might have to pay a fee for the IHSAA, but they do provide all that on that same website.
I've actually watched you guys. That's pretty cool to sit and see somebody a neighbor or you're familiar with competing for state. So, Coach, good luck to you, really.
Thank you so much.
And before we let you go, we end every single show, Coach, the exact same way. We call it our one-hitter quitter. That's where I'm going to ask you one question, hard-hitting in nature, and yes, you have to answer. Are you ready?
Wait a minute, Terrence. You said I was not going to be in the hot seat. It feels very hot right now.
No. You got this, Coach. I got faith in you. You got this. Let's pretend, if you would, and we go back to the height of your athletic career, and for whatever reason, Team USA say, hey, look, we're all full on track and field, but we want you to go. You can pick. You can either go in fast pitch softball or you can go in gymnastics. Which would you have chosen?
Is track and field in the mix?
No,
I have to choose between gymnastics and fast pitch softball.
Fast pitch or gymnastics. Which one would you choose?
I would have chose gymnastics.
Yeah?
I would have chose gymnastics.
Wow.
Yes, I was that crazy cheerleader here. Everyone said, you're a cheerleader. That's not a sport. I said, now hold up. I'm the captain and we run steps. We do all these things. So probably a crazy cheer captain, right? That's probably not how it goes these days. But I was like, we're going to go to cheer competitions. There weren't that many. But I said, you watch me tumble at these games. So on the football field, on that track, I would do a round off back handspring and then a backflip where you stay straight and do a full twist and land it. And so when I would go to the gym, I would say, can you teach me how to do? And then he'd go, well, where are you going to do this if you're not going to stay and train? I said, oh, I'll do it on the track or I'm going to do it on the gym floor at the basketball games. He goes, what? Because, at the gym, you're on this padded mat. And he goes, wow, I don't know if this is safe. I said, no, I promise I can do it. So I was doing all these gymnastic tricks everywhere. Only one time I did fall. It was at South Dearborn High School, and I had a bruised tailbone for 2 months.
Oh,
Coach, am I getting this right? As the cheer captain, were you making cheerleaders throw up?
I was not. My coach kept me in check, but tell you what, we were in shape and we did some crazy stuff.
That is awesome. Well, Coach, again, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Like Leon said, we wish you the best of luck here in the postseason for East Central, for your team. I know you had a lot of individuals that were looking for school records this year, and here's hoping that they are able to obtain those.
Thank you. And Terrence and Leon, I just wanted to clarify, I haven't mentioned much about the boys, but I am the head girls track and field coach here at East Central. And so if anyone is wondering why I haven't mentioned, we have a lot of talented boys that should make it to state. We've got Trevor Perkins and Will Kemper who have hit state standards. I just don't highlight them as much because Tom Harris is the head boys coach and I am the head girls coach. So just to clarify that.
Rock and roll.
Coach, it's okay because both of us are girl dads. We don't really care about
Okay, I was like, man, I feel terrible. They're gonna, I'm gonna hear that at practice when this releases. Okay.
let the guys figure it out on their own.
Yeah.
So, love the boys too. So sorry that I didn't give a lot of shout outs to that.
All good. Again, Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck to you, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day.
This has been an Overtime Media original production presented by Bronze Gutzwiller and FCN Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender. We are profoundly grateful for the support of all of our sponsors, including Daisy's Doggy Daycare and H&R Block. Your continued support is key to our success. So until next time, be sure to like, rate, and subscribe. And as always, be a friend and tell a friend about Overtime Media.